There is no doubt about it that we are beginning to witness a growing number of Hollywood actors, actresses, writers, and directors that are beginning to call out other Hollywood celebrities for acting out so terribly against those like Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk, President Trump, and their supporters, and saying some of the most downright awful things. Now, unfortunately, you do have those out there like Jane Fonda, Robert De Niro, and among others like Stephen King that are not backing down by delivering such hateful comments, but fortunately, on the other end of the spectrum, you do have those like Mel Gibson, James Woods, Tim Allen, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, even Tom Cruise to a degree. And most of all, now we have Sydney Sweeney calling out the insanity in Hollywood, and something very specific that has to do with Charlie Kirk and Hollywood actors out there. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, in recent days, we know that Sydney Sweeney has been more vocal than usual about those that have been mocking not just her, but also, of course, those, within Hollywood, specific actors that are being mocked by other actors. Now, we all have seen this coming from Robert De Niro and Jane Fonda, calling out other Hollywood celebrities that are really just calling for those to quit it with the politics, quit it with the political agendas or the culture wars out there. Obviously, people like Robert De Niro and Jane Fonda have a growing issue with those like Mel Gibson and James Woods, for example. But focusing on Sydney Sweeney here, this is where things begin to really escalate and really hit a new level, and how it's really beginning to put the inflammatory actors in the hot seat right now. So one thing about Sydney Sweeney is that with more celebrities now begging to call out, of course, other celebrities for acting out against Trump and Charlie Kirk as more moviegoers decide to skip out on Hollywood, one major development that is now active involves more to do with actress Sydney Sweeney, who recently called out the many actors like Robert De Niro, Tom Hanks, and George Clooney in general for saying such awful things about Charlie Kirk, and of course those that so happen to have a different political opinion. Sydney delivered the following. We are so divided right now. We are just so divided now when you don't have to be, and I hate to say it, but this industry that I work for is contributing to that growing problem. What we saw happen in September was a wake-up call that Hollywood needs to cut it out with the politics, and by saying such hateful things when someone lost his life, many of those that are in the movie business need to stick to what they are doing, because if you continue to go down that path with acting like a politician, you are just going to lose all of your support and credibility. And I for sure don't want that, but when I look at Hollywood, sure, you are going to have many entitled individuals that feel that their political opinions deserve to be forced onto their fans or to the public, and nobody wants that. It's why Hollywood right now is a bit of a struggle on both ends, and why you aren't seeing the normal foot traffic anymore going to the theaters that you once saw years ago. But when someone loses their life, and it's an example of political violence, I just think it's wrong as an actor or actress or whoever to go out name-calling or to go out in public saying that you don't want the fans' business if they don't lean left or a specific direction in politics. It's all just a way to end your career, and if you are smart, you just stay out of it. It's why people are really taking value in new faces right now, and new talent that don't, of course, get so involved in all of that to make an example or to push a political agenda. People just want an escape. They want to enjoy themselves during a film or TV show and shift away from reality for a while. And that's how it should be without its cast pushing politics to their audience. And I don't know if my voice will change anything or what, but we need to shift away from all the wrong choices many big stars are making right now. It's not doing anyone any favors, especially when you are working on a new project. So let's just see what happens, I guess. I'm just enjoying the opportunities that I'm grateful for, and it's unfortunate because in this industry, stars can be very judgmental if you hold a different political opinion. Now, guys, let me just say one thing about that. Now, Sydney Sweeney obviously is speaking for millions of people out there that have been openly attacked, vocally attacked for having a different political opinion. For example, if you support President Trump, or if you're just not even a Trump supporter, if you're just a Republican, a lot of actors in Hollywood have been calling you a racist, a sexist, a misogynist, and all this crazy, wacky stuff. And people are just very exhausted over that. That's exactly why a lot of people are not going to the movie theaters anymore, but it's beyond that. Let's be very real about this. Outside of what Sydney Sweeney's saying, it also has a lot to do with the cost of seeing a movie with a family of 4, 5, or 6, for example. You know, between the tickets and the food and the drinks, forget about it. People are sticking to streaming. They're sticking to other forms of entertainment out there. That's why you have less people going to the theaters as well, and why the movies actually don't stay in the theaters as long either. You know, it used to be in there for, many, many months. Now it's like down to like maybe a month and a half. What's interesting though now is that Sydney continues, of course, and that can be a challenge, and that can also be a challenge, and to really just take them away from reality for a while. We all need to stay in our lane, and those that are stepping out of it, they should fall back in line to just do their job. I can only hope that everyone can respect originality moving forward with new films and projects that don't feed any sort of messaging so that we can just keep going to do something fun. So, again, she's talking about how Hollywood should just shift away from all the nonsense that they're spewing out right now, political agendas, political propaganda, culture wars, all this nonsense that Disney, for example, has been going through. And that's exactly why, and we talked about this a year ago, when Sydney Sweeney was in talks to join the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, she actually shifted away from that and didn't want any part of it. And that's exactly why she didn't want any part of Disney, is because they were doubling down on the typical, agenda, typical propaganda being shoehorned into their movies and television programs, and now it's getting called out more so. So look, you're having this growing list, as I pointed out before. Mel Gibson, James Woods, Tim Allen, now Sydney Sweeney, Tom Cruise a little bit here and there, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. The list is growing. Other celebrities are calling out other celebrities, so it's almost like a little civil war going on right now within Hollywood of those really just calling out those that lack common sense and those that are just doubling down on their politics. So again, there's a lot of things going on within Hollywood for several reasons. We also know that they are facing a lot of problems by putting out original work. A lot of things right now are sequels or remakes or, legacy sequels or whatever it may be. People just want to see original, work that's actually very much engaging and worth going to the movie theaters for. And you're seeing some hits here and there. But overall, I think that what Sydney is delivering here is the fact that people need to cut it out with mocking those that were either assassinated in Charlie Kirk's case, when you're looking at that, but also they should actually cut it out when it comes to pushing political propaganda in their movies. That's another thing that's being pointed out several times now, and has been pointed out by people like Mel Gibson, and now Sydney Sweeney and many others out there. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about all of this below in the comments. Anything ranging from the current status of Hollywood, whether or not you guys think it'll actually go back to the way it was back in 2019/2018, whatever. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I'll catch you guys later.